I got infinity money. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Beyond the Backboard Podcast, episode 43. My name is Omar. Next to me is Earl. Below me is Max. And I'm going to be honest here. I have no idea what to talk about today. We're going to talk about free agency, obviously. There is obviously a lot of moves within the past couple of days that's happened. Surprising moves, non-surprising moves. We'll get into all of that. And, yeah, that's it. What do you guys have to say? How was your week? How's everything been going?
It's been a good
bad.
week.
Can't complain.
It's been good. We had our first BTB podcast host meetup, sans Earl, but it's okay. He missed out.
Yeah.
That's his problem. You know, me and Omar have that connection now, that personal touch. You know, we've shook hands.
Personal touch sounds crazy.
We've cried together. We've bonded together.
I don't know about crying together. Bonded for sure.
We almost cried over that 1v1, which will be being uploaded soon on the Beyond the Backboard channel.
Cried over that 1v1. I knew it
Hey,
was
don't spoil anything. Don't spoil none. I'm trying to hype up the 1v1
I knew what was going
video.
to happen that entire match. I anticipated every move that he was going to make. He
Well,
wanted
if
to
you guys
talk,
want
he wanted
to
to talk. That's about it. What
If
can
you
I
guys
say?
want-
Omar is literally like a walking spoiler alert. It's
I
actually
have
If you guys
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
anticipate
yeah.
this epic 1v1 video that will be going up on the Beyond the Backboard channel with Mr. Omar 1v1ing our friend, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss that video. The first exclusive BTB vlog / IRL video will be up soon, but that's a
And
story
just
for another day.
Just a warning. I'm very short, so it'll seem like giant versus short guy, but it's
Yeah,
that's
no,
exactly
well,
what
that's
it
what
is.
really not. It's
That's
really
what
not
it is.
all.
Why are you unadvertising what it is?
because Nikki is just taller than the average human. I just don't want people to think I'm super short.
You are, though.
I mean,
You're also shorter than the average human, so.
it's
I'm-
okay. You know what? You walk yourself into that one. Nobody was saying anything about that, and you kind of just.
I did it. I know, but when I'm gonna go up to Massachusetts soon, just
You're gonna be taller in Massachusetts.
right in your SpongeBob-esque.
Every state Omar travels, he grows an inch. He'd have to go to California to be average, but that's besides the point.
That's crazy.
You have to go around the whole world three times.
No, I wouldn't.
At that point, the G-forces would stretch him out.
That's crazy.
Gosh.
But I will say, I'm not going to spoil nothing. Omar got a nice little jumper on him. That's all I'm saying. He got a nice little jump shot. Kind of clean. Kind of looks like Steph Curry. But why don't we start off by talking about Steph Curry's now former teammate, Klay Thompson, is now on the Dallas Mavericks.
I'm confused. What were you actually going to say prior to that?
Mr. Washing Machine.
That is crazy.
I mean, listen, I love me some Klay, but
Considering that Clay's off year is 45% from three, I think he's in a good
he did
position.
not shoot 45%. $10, he didn't shoot 45% from three right now.
Look it up. I saw it this morning.
He did not shoot 45% from three.
Well,
Not-
Max,
not
go ahead and send the cash out, brother.
Yeah, bro. Klay Thompson, basketball reference. Thank you. Why is basketball reference should be the first thing that pops up when you Google a player's name? Can we change that, please?
I'm just trolling. Omar, your numbers are always off. Not gonna lie to you.
2024, Klay Thompson from three, shot 38%. Pay me, Omar.
Which is still a good number, but it's not 45%.
I said
Fair enough.
$10.
I probably meant like 40%, but still,
It wasn't even 40.
it's still a good number.
It's okay.
But
You
it's
paid
not
for the
45.
pizza. You covered the pizza.
What? Look.
No, I did cover the pizza. I was
covered
going to
the
cover
pizza.
the pizza regardless. You were
You covered the pizza, so I'm not mad. Plus,
Look,
you're kinda-
18. But still, I'll say this. As far as fit, I'm just not 100% too sure yet till I see it. I mean, I feel like for the most part, you're adding on 3 guards. Are they all going to start at the same time? Not sure. I mean, I guess that's their ideal plan. But then again, I feel like teams with bigger matchups might take advantage of that. Klay at the 3. I don't know how well that's going to go like for a whole course of a NBA season. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, he did average 18 points a game last year, so credit to him. I don't think he's quite like on that wash range yet. I think a lot of people forget, like, yeah, he had some really bad performances towards the end of the season, but for the most part, he was pretty consistent. So I think overall for that contract, not bad. 50 mil. We'll see what happens.
I feel like he was super inconsistent. That was his problem. Is that like sometimes he looked like old Clay, and then other games he just have stinkers. I feel like that was the biggest problem.
I was saying like towards the end of the season, you've seen it more. Is basically what I was saying.
But then he had his worst game of the season in the last game.
That's what I said. Towards the end of the season, you've seen it more.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like you've seen Prime Clay more.
No.
Okay.
He shot better at the second. I think my number was at the second half of the season, but let me look at that one more time.
It's okay, Omar. You lost. It's fine.
Hold on.
Listen, all I'm gonna sit here and say is the best player, and here's my prediction. The best player that the Dallas Mavericks picked up this offseason or acquired was not Klay Thompson. You know who it was?
Okay,
Najee?
I was right. So in the 27 games that Klay Thompson played after the All-Star break, he shot 45% from the field. Yes,
that's a big difference between three.
I know, and then 41% from three.
Huge
So
accomplishment.
it was my mistake. I got the numbers a little bit mixed up, but the number was still accurate.
No, it wasn't.
I don't think it was.
He didn't even shoot 45 from. Did he? Oh no. Did you say he shot 45 from? Oh, you're right. Okay, sorry.
From the
It was the wrong stat. It wasn't all year, but it was half of the year. So that's
marginally incorrect / correct,
No.
not being correct.
correct now.
Okay, here's what I'm saying. The best player that the Dallas Mavericks picked up in this offseason was not Klay Thompson.
Really?
Yeah. You know who it was?
Who?
It was the guy they traded for Tim Hardaway Jr.
Oh my God, Quentin Grimes, are you
Mr.
on that?
Quentin Grimes. Calling it right now. However far Dallas goes in the playoffs next year will be more down to Quentin Grimes than Klay Thompson. Calling it.
Wow.
Quentin Grimes finally gets to go to a good, competent team that will use him, unlike Detroit that banished him to the bench. He is going to cook, and he's either going to start next to Kyrie and Luka, or he's going to be their super sub sixth man who winds up closing most of the games. Because think about it, Klay, like 7 years ago, Klay would have been a perfect fit next to these two because he was like people forget Klay was an all-NBA, damn near an all-NBA defender. Dude was lockdown defense athletic. But after the injuries, it's kind of just been on the decline. And now he's kind of just like a glorified Evan Fournier. Obviously a lot better than Evan Fournier, but like respectfully, kind of just a catch and shoot 3-point shooter. One of the best catch and shoot 3-point shooters out there. But still kind of a glorified Evan Fournier to the point where if he's not giving you 15 to 20 points on good shooting efficiencies, he's kind of a liability out there because he ain't playing defense and he sure as heck ain't passing. Klay Thompson never been one to pass the rock. So heaven forbid he starts taking shots from Kyrie and Luka. They're going to be on his head top for that. So I don't hate it. I think Klay's smoking respectfulully for not taking what did he get from Golden State? 4 years, $80 million. He turned it down respectfully.
No, that was from us.
But
I think it was a 2 year. It was like a 2
from
year.
us. It was a 4 year, $80 million.
How does he not take that? He thinks he was like, "Oh, I'm worth more than that," and then goes to Dallas.
I don't
and
think
takes
he was going
less.
about it in this way. Bro.
Basically, this is what happened. I'll give you the whole Klay cycle. First of all, he asked the Warriors to pay him $20 million a year. Warriors said they didn't think they could do it at the time. Rob Pelinka makes a package, offers him $20 million sign and trade, and then he changed it to, "I don't want to get caught up in the money again, so I'm going to choose the Mavericks," or something like that. That's what I seen on Twitter. Basically, he was saying that he wanted to be in a better situation, so he went to the Mavericks. He felt like Golden State and the Lakers were kind of just too close as far as like, I don't even know what
competitiveness.
Competitiveness. I don't know. Pressure, I guess. So, hey, it happens. I agree with Max to some extent. I feel like there are levels of his game. Obviously, he's just not going to get back. So you're hoping that when you bring him in to a team like this, you can be that elite catch and shoot 3-point shooter. I mean, we've seen in the playoffs. We can all agree that team was bricking the most open shots in the world. So if you add Klay to that scenario, you would hope that he will make more shots than Josh Green was airballing in the corner every 2 seconds.
Hey, Josh Green was the only one who showed up in Game 6. No Josh Green slander.
True, but every other game it was awful to watch, respectfully.
True. And
PJ disappeared as well.
Dante Exum. Think about that. Dante Exum.
That is true. Because think about it. If you have Klay all right, now your hierarchy of offensive potential on that team. It's not PJ Washington's third. Arguably third now is Quentin Grimes and Klay Thompson. You can reverse them however you want. Those are your third. And then you jump it to PJ Washington. And then you got a guy like, what was it, Najee Harris who signed over there too? Great defender.
I think
Marshall, my fault.
I think
you have him as a catch and shoot option. Like you have other options other than those guys to kind of space out the offense a lot better. So it just depends on defense. That's what's going to get it done for this team.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I mean, like, I think shooters like Klay Thompson and Quentin Grimes are going to get the opportunities they like around Luka and Kyrie, especially the way they handle the ball on the offensive side. I think it's going to be good I think it's going to be really good. They made it to the finals this year, and they're only adding more firepower to the mix. And with Klay Thompson and hell, even Quentin Grimes can add to that, like, so much. In terms of
Quentin Grimes is going to be next year's PJ Washington, like the guy they pick up that like nobody really cared about, but then he's going to be having big playoff games. You're going to be like, damn, they got rid of Tim Hardaway Jr. and got this guy. Like, hook.
Yeah, Nate essentially traded for another Nick.
Yes, that is really funny. They traded one former Nick for another former Nick.
If OKC goes to the finals or like makes it anywhere near, I'm gonna be mad because it's gonna be because of Isaiah Hartenstein.
True. Okay, can we pivot real quickly to something else? I think I've said on this show, I know I've said it somewhere, and this was like months ago, I think. Did I not call Tobias Harris to the Pistons? I feel like I called that.
Yeah, I feel like I agree with you too because that was kind of his hometown place. It's just funny. It just made sense.
I said months ago that
that's where his name was.
Someone will overpay Tobias Harris, and it will be the Pistons. Like,
but I wonder what the Pistons are going to do with Tim Hardaway Jr. now, because it's kind of like, well, now you either have Tim Hardaway Jr. and then you just paid Tobias Harris $50 million to come back.
I mean, they're different positions though.
I mean, it just feels like they're very similar players, in my opinion.
It's similar in the fact that they're both shoot for 15.
Yeah, as far as like builds, totally different. Like Tim Hardaway Jr. shooting guard range, Tobias small forward, sometimes drop down to power forward depending on the matchups in Philly.
Think about this way.
Why I didn't like him in Philadelphia, because Tobias Harris felt a little stand and shoot. A little too much of a stand and shoot type of guy.
Honestly, the problem with Tobias Harris' game is inconsistency. Like if you look at his complete game, he has the ability to hit 3-point shots, mid-range, and he can finish. The problem is he doesn't do either one of those threes on a consistent basis, and that's why fans hate him. So maybe less pressure and maybe Cade can unlock him a little bit more. I don't know. Trying to be optimistic here.
The best years of Tobias Harris are over, respectfully. Think about it this way. Tim Hardaway Jr. is the LeBron James of Tobias Harris's, and Tobias Harris is the Michael Jordan of Tobias Harris's.
Man, yeah.
So Detroit got Bron and Jordan just of Tobias Harris.
Just chilling, bro. Like, that's where you go. Pistons is really where you go. They disrespect your game so much, you go to the Pistons and you try to make your way out. That's like what Jeremy the Pistons
Grant,
is.
And he got a bag from Portland. And
exactly.
Now he's in Portland.
Just like that. You go there, you perform, you play the best. Who was it? Dang, who was it? Who went to the Pistons, bro, and had some really decent games and then got traded? Yeah, Blake Griffin. That one stretch of time, Blake Griffin. He was playing pretty good. Yeah, and then he got off that team. Obviously, he's not in the league anymore, but
because of the Clippers trading him over there, they did him dirty.
Yeah, that was crazy. Lob City means nothing.
Pistons Blake was underrated. Was he an All-Star? He may have been an All-Star one year.
I think
on the Pistons.
Yeah, he may have been an All-Star.
I'm not sure. I don't remember, but I know he played good basketball
there for a year, right?
No, he was there for longer.
It was there for at least 2, right?
I want to say a year or 2, but I didn't want to jump ahead and give
more than that.
Blake was on that team. He played
a lot
for Detroit.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, and he made an All-Star team.
Yep,
his first full-time year there.
Bro, he was averaging 24 a game at one point.
Yeah, he was there.
He was good.
Yep, he was their only real good guy. I mean,
still, he played good ball.
They had Reggie Jackson.
I mean, I can't hate.
They may have still had Drummond at that point. I forget.
I just wish he won a chip. I just wish he won a chip.
What chip?
I said I just wish he won a championship.
Oh,
I mean, it would have been cool,
I
but
mean-
respectfully, I don't really care.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm not losing. He was a Clipper, so I'm not losing sleep on it. Should they have won at least one? Probably so. I mean, Live City was probably one of the most exciting teams like in the modern basketball, but they weren't able to kind of get it together in the playoffs, which sucks for them.
Hey, Reggie and DeAndre Jordan got a ring, so that's good. Speaking
True.
of former Clippers, segue, Paul George go to
Who?
the Sixers. Which we
I
all
told
thought
y'all.
months ago.
I told y'all.
I also told
I knew
y'all.
it. Me and
Omar
Max was cooking.
probably said something.
No, Omar's like, it's not a good enough move to make me scared.
It's not, but I mean,
I do think with the I'm honestly more upset at the Sixers getting Andre Drummond than Paul George.
And on top of that, they got Eric Gordon, which is I think is a good bench piece for them
Did
too.
they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When did they get him?
They
Like
signed
starter
him
free
for,
agency?
2-year.
I know he opted out of Phoenix. I didn't see he went there. Damn. Okay, that's actually good. Yeah.
Yep.
Are they
I
keeping
find it
Buddy
really
Hield?
funny because Eric Gordon was actually trying to find his way to Phoenix for a long time. He got there, stayed there for 1 year, and dipped.
I mean, yeah, you go to get that bag.
Respectfully.
Stayed and dipped.
Well,
Like,
okay. I was gonna say who would want to go to Phoenix right now, but honestly, if you're like a bottom tier role player, you can probably get starter minutes on Phoenix. So
Yeah, he
Phoenix
agreed
will
with
go
a deal to the Sixers. They got Kelly Oubre back as well, which I felt like was a good.
Did they
Like
get
they
Hield?
did a good job
They did
of
the
like
right-
retaining that roster. You said what happened?
Did they get healed? Did they keep him?
Yeah,
Still up in the air.
on a
Okay.
signing trade. Apparently, who was it that was involved with talks? I got the notification up.
Oh, it said apparently like I think that was yesterday. They said they were in heavy talks with the Warriors, but I haven't really seen anything progress since then. So we'll have to wait and see on that.
Meaning, I would like
The
Buddy.
next splash, brother. Buddy Hield on lock next to Curry, shoot unlimited shots.
That would be kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie. Buddy
Hey,
Hield.
give Buddy the clay role. Let's see what he does. I'm down to experiment. Why not?
Buddy's definitely probably a top 5 player.
They're
left.
definitely regretting
Mhm.
trading Jordan Poole right now. I'll tell you that much.
Hey, that president, I don't know who the president is right now, but Bob Myers was cooking. He inherited a lucrative franchise and he let it all slip away. Is crazy. All of it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the mishandlement of trading Jordan Poole for Chris Paul and then waiving Chris Paul and then
Yep.
letting Klay Thompson walk. That's a pretty
For
bad
2
mishandlement.
seconds. Because you don't want to take on salary. Like, bro, you already are one of the highest paid teams. You can use that salary to make another deal. Like what the Wizards did. Like, I don't understand why he didn't think like that. As far as maybe we take on this player, we can go get maybe another from a desperate team, maybe a first or a second, some more picks for free. But I don't know what bro's cooking, but it just wasn't it. I don't know. But
The
we're gonna
most-
pay Draymond that max money though.
The most
Yeah, $100
underrated,
million for Draymond, but you're not going to give Clay the same is kind of insane. Like,
the
bro,
most underrated GM move that does not get talked about, and I will stand on this business, was
Mhm.
Golden State when they were bad and tanking, signing D'Angelo Russell
Mm-hmm.
and trading him halfway through, signing D'Angelo Russell even though
Yep.
they already had Stephen Clay, then trading Russell halfway through the season for Wiggins, and then Wiggins becoming the second best player on their championship team like 2 years later.
Yep.
That never gets talked about. But the nerve it takes to go sign D'Angelo Russell to like a big deal when you already have Stephen Clay in their prime, banking on the fact that you can flip him for the right piece, and then you do it, and then you win a championship, like a lot largely because of that piece. Power move, absolute stand on business type move. That's like
Done it. Hey, they could have done it again. They could have done it again.
yellow key, but
But no, I agree with you, Max. That definitely one of the most underrated GM moves. Was that Bob Myers or was that the new guy?
that was Bob Myers.
Okay, I was about to say,
Bob
yeah.
Myers left like last year. So
hey,
that
maybe
was Bob Myers.
they would have dropped him if they couldn't trade him.
Drop who?
Yeah, he banked.
Oh, you talking about D'Lo?
They would have
Yeah,
been a backup point guard. He
I'm
would have been
relating
the
it
highest
to
backup in the league, probably.
Chris Paul because
Now I feel like
Chris
if
Paul was in a package for Zach LaVine, and when Chicago obviously would deny such a package,
No, Chicago offered it, remember?
Mhm.
Chicago offered, I think, like Zach LaVine and someone else for Chris Paul, and then Warriors said nah, and they just dropped him.
it was Zach LaVine a first, and I think the Warriors had to give up Chris Paul.
it
It
was
was Andrew Wiggins and something.
It was like Chris Paul and John Kuminga, Chris Paul and this player, Chris Paul and that player. It wasn't
think
like
it was
Chris
Angie. Let me pull
Paul
it
and
up.
all these people. It was like the package would have been like Chris Paul and John Kuminga most likely.
Yeah,
Which
it was.
probably, I
Yeah,
would
okay.
have done that. I don't see why the Warriors wouldn't have done that personally.
Because
No,
their
it was a
GM
deal
is not about that life.
According to Chris Haynes, the deal would have been Zach LaVine for Chris Paul or Andrew Wiggins, basically. So instead of just trading Chris Paul for Zach LaVine straight up, they said, "Nah, we don't want Zach LaVine." I've never seen a player with as negative trade value as Zach LaVine.
The thing is,
Bradley Beal got traded easier than this.
I agree. And the thing, I get the injury thing, but for the Warriors, like, if you're losing Klay Thompson, right, everything is pretty much about to not say fall apart, but you got to start making decisions about what's next under Curry. Because then you have that thing where it's like, okay, if we don't do nothing this year, how long is Curry going to sit around and wait? If we don't do something next year, say he's really patient, does Curry just sit there and just play things out? I mean, we don't know because he hasn't been put in the situation yet. So sometimes you got to take a risky move and try something. But we'll see. I know the big move right now is trying to get Lauri Markkanen in. I've seen that going around a lot. That's their ex-player. But at the same time, it is – I don't know. We'll see. I like Lauri a lot, though. It will be a good fit on the Warriors, but does that move the needle that much to, like, for a championship? Like, I don't know.
Really.
Speaking of championships, I wanna ask my fellow co-host, who's also a Knicks fan, to answer this question for me because, well, I see a lot of talk, and I'm really not sure. And like I pose myself this question every time. I really do not know the answer to it. So, my question is: do you think the Knicks have enough to even make a run for it, Max? Do we think?
Sure.
Do you
had
think
enough last year? I mean,
do you guys think we could make the championship within the next 2 years?
Yes, easily. Well, maybe not easily, but like, yeah. Healthy, we could take it to any team. I don't see any team that don't think we can win. I think last year we were not beating Boston, even if we were fully healthy. Maybe we could push them. I think with Mikal and assuming we're able to at least get a decent backup big, and I think Precious Achiuwa would be a fine backup big. If you're telling me we're going into next year with a lineup of Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Anunoby, Randall, Mitch, and then Deuce McBride, DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, and Precious Achiuwa off the bench, if you're telling me that's our 9-man, I think that could beat any team in the league in a 7-game series. I'm not saying we will.
I would love to bring Precious.
There's no team that's out there where I'm like, we can't beat them. Like, there's no team.
It just, I mean, the Isaiah Hartenstein thing scared me a little bit. But then you also got to remember, I feel like a lot of Knicks fans are forgetting who Mitchell Robinson is.
More so, I feel like more Knicks fans are forgetting who Precious Achiuwa is. Like, more people are more concerned about getting a backup. Like, oh, we need to get Goga Batadze or we need to go get James Wiseman. I'm like, bro, Precious Achiuwa respectfully had a better season than both those guys last year. Maybe not Goga. I'd rather have Precious.
Precious is mad good. I don't understand it. They won't. I mean, they haven't even re-signed him yet. They're like weighing other options.
I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen to him. I think I would be fine if we re-signed him. Like, I think we can go into the season with him as a backup and try that.
Regardless, I don't think teams are essentially, for lack of a better term, barking up that tree to try and get Precious Achiuwa.
Fair, but
yeah,
I think that I think he's a serviceable backup. The only two guys that are in free agency that I would have liked to have over him are Drummond and Valanciunas. If we could have gotten one of those guys, I would have liked that more than Precious. Other than that, I don't think he'd do a better job than Goga Batadze, really. I don't think he'd do a better job than Wiseman. I don't think he'd do a better job than Nick Richards or maybe even Kevon Looney. Like,
if we could trade for Nick Richards, that would be amazing. I've heard rumblings about Walker Kessler, but that
if
scared
we get Walker Kessler without giving up Deuce McBride or like a bag of picks, then yes, do it. I think Kessler would be good off the bench.
Because that's the thing. I don't want to trade a shit ton of picks for Walker Kessler.
Me neither. If you can get him on a discount, get him on a discount. That doesn't involve giving up any of our core, then do it. But if not, just bring Precious back and run that. And if we need to pick up a center at the deadline, we'll do that like Boston did last year where they got Xavier Tillman for like nothing. So, like, some people are like, DeMarcus Cousins to the Knicks. I'm like, okay, dog, come on now. That's some Lakers talk. Respectfully, that's some Lakers delusion.
Whoa. No need for the stray.
Who's the Lakers signed in free agency?
Nobody yet, but we're early in.
They don't have anyone? Okay. All right. So we need to talk about that. Oh, what? This is our first podcast after Ronnie got drafted.
What do you think is gonna happen with Pacom Diarra?
Because I personally think we should have him on the bench and try to extend our bench a little bit. I know Tom Thibodeau's not gonna like the extending it from a 9 to a 10-man idea for some fucking reason.
Dude's 18. I'm not trusting him. He can go play in Westchester for a few years. Work on that game.
That's the thing. Because I still think he can. I still think he can do it. I don't know.
Have you ever watched a single game of him? Be honest.
Yes, I watched a game of his, and then I watched a bunch of highlights. I do think.
I mean, you watched a bunch of highlights.
I agree with you. He needs some G League development. Cole, I don't know how he drops over. Personally,
he'll be there. He's fine. But yeah, this is our first episode after the draft.
Yeah.
What is the resident? Do we have any draft recap things? Just things to say about the draft in general. Resident Lakers fan. Lakers drafting Bronny. Anything?
Honestly, I'll talk about Dalton.
7.9 mil.
I'll talk about Dalton Connect. I feel like that was a great pickup for us. The biggest thing with him, the reason he fell so far, obviously, was age. I think he's 23. A lot of GMs feel like, obviously, 18 is the range where you can kind of have a guy in your program, let him develop and kind of grow from there. 23, they just feel like it's a little bit too old. But for us in our situation, I mean, you have LeBron, you have AD. We're kind of looking for more experienced rookies to come in and kind of just merge a little bit better, I feel like, with the system and game plan. So I'm happy. He kind of brings more needs. He's a three-point shooter. He can shoot off the dribble, catch and shoot. We were looking at all his splits. I mean, every facet of his three-point game is like high 38 plus range. His off the dribble, catch and shoot, corners. Like, he's just an overall great shooter, and he's athletic. I think he posted like the top 5 in vertical for the overall draft. So he's pretty. So he's pretty good in that range as well. I think he had the number 1 agility testing. Like, I forget what the drill's called. Like when you're going left and right and stuff like that.
Agility ladder.
Yeah, he had number 1 in that. So his potential as far as like being a defensive, like being able to shift your feet, it's there. So I think with the right development, he'll be good, man. I'm happy he fell to us. Like, I know a lot of people talking about Bronny, but I'm really excited for Dalton Connect. I think he's gonna fit well in this team. Especially, it makes me feel better that it's not Darvingham coaching us, because like we got JJ Redick. Like JJ Redick, obviously, he was a great 3-point shooter. He pretty much knows all the sets to get shooters open. So having him pretty much have that type of cheat code as his coach, I think it's going to help him as far as like developing his game faster than some other rookies in this class. So I'm happy that we got him. As far as Bronny, yeah, I'm happy. I mean, it's the 55th pick. I've seen a lot of people tripping out about it, but I've seen a list of the last couple 55th picks, and literally none of those guys are still in the NBA. I'll just throw one of those names out there. Kyle Guy. Shout out to Kyle Guy. Not a lot of people remember him, but
the guy.
Yeah. So I think it's a move, man. If you have the chance to draft LeBron James' son and he plays for your team and it's the 55 pick, why not? Like, LeBron's been a part of this game for so long. Having a chance to kind of see that moment of a father and a son play together on an NBA team. If it was any other player in the world, why wouldn't you do it? It just makes no sense not to do. So I'm happy with that signing. He got the average rookie contract, 4 years, $8 million. We ball. I mean, we're not gonna miss that $8 million respectfully. We'll get that from drink sales in the first quarter of games. So we ball. Really. I'm excited.
Is there anything we can do about the echo? Because I am hearing, like, maybe not people twice, but like there's like a little.
Yeah, it's my end. I'll play them.
All right. But yeah, I think the Lakers, the fact that they got Dalt was really good. I'm mad that the Celtics have that Bailey Shireman guy, who's apparently like one of the best players in like all of college basketball, and just randomly fell to 30, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know how the Celtics just get gifted probably a solid bench player with the last pick of the first round. So that kind of upset me. I don't respectfully know why the Wizards traded Denny Avdia to get Alex Sarr in one of the worst moves I've seen in a hot minute. They just gave Denny Avdia up on a platter to hold Malcolm Brogdon and like the 14th pick, which I don't even know who they used it on, probably someone irrelevant. And then they drafted
Yeah, for real.
Sorry.
But I do agree it was a bad trade, but I don't know what these kids are going to be, but I agree with you, Max.
Like, come on. Like, and then they just go sign Jonas Valanciunas. So it's like, it's not a bad deal. Like, Valanciunas, 3 years, 30 mil. It's about what I would say his going rate is.
Yeah.
But, like, they need him. Why?
I agree with you. I think the Valanciunas thing kind of threw me off.
Like, it's not
I mean,
a bad value. I just don't really know why they need him.
No, for
My
sure. Like they
question is,
took
why
a
didn't he
really
accept
valuable big off the board to go to the Wizard. Like it just, I think it threw a lot of teams off because if we talk about free agent centers, he was pretty much on the top of the list as far as quality centers available right now.
Yeah.
And the Wizards just scooped in. Oh, welcome to the Wizards. And I talked to Natalie too.
My
She was
question
confused
is, why
by
would
the
he
move as
even?
well.
Pistons hired Bickerstaff.
That's like a day or two old.
Yeah.
No, it was 10 minutes ago.
That we knew that yesterday.
What the hell?
They made it official now, or your phone is just behind, or you're on old.
Dude,
No, but
I don't think we knew that yesterday.
Dog, I promise you, we knew that yesterday.
But basically, I don't know if it fits his timeline per se. Like we already know, like the Wizards are kind of in this rebuilding mode. Maybe he's at the point where he wants to be that vet, which is cool. I mean, if you're getting paid that much, you get a chance to kind of help and grow. I mean, maybe he wants to see what the hype is with Alex Sarr. Maybe he wants to be a veteran to potentially a great player in the future. So I don't know. It was a little bit shocking though.
I know why he went to Washington.
What, the money? I mean,
Yeah,
I think how much did he get paid? It was below the MLE though. Was it not?
10 million a year. 10 million a
Yeah,
year.
that's below MLE. Anybody could have gave him that.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, for 1 year. They could have given it to him for 1 year. He's
No,
getting
it's a
guaranteed
multi-year
for
contract, right?
That's exactly why I've been asking the question, why did he accept that? Because he's not gaining anything out of being in Washington. While anybody can give him that offer, he could go into
Well, for 1
he could
year.
go to a
That's what I'm
contender.
saying. Would you rather make Would you rather make 13 mil for 1 year or a guaranteed 30 mil for 3 years?
But it probably wasn't a guaranteed 13 million. It was probably just I'm pretty sure he could have went anywhere and gotten that deal, the same deal. If
No,
he
the
went down
MLE is not. It's a 1 year deal.
No. It's a multi-year deal. You could do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Multi-year in MLE?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we did with Gabe Vincent. That's why he's on the contract. It was like
thing.
we did a 2-year.
Okay, so maybe he could only have gotten like a 2 years, 21 mil. So he figured he'd get the extra year of security, figuring he can just ride this contract out.
Which he did.
I mean, fair play. He's Valanciunas.
He got paid to sit.
I mean, he'll start for them. Like, he's better than anyone on that team, really.
Gabe Vincent, yeah, but he hasn't.
I mean, Valanciunas. Gabe Vincent, yeah, I don't know what's up with him.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Gabe Vincent hasn't done much.
What's up with Jimmy Butler? I haven't heard any Jimmy Butler stuff the last couple of days. Is he coming back? Is he a free agent?
I think they said he's not going to extend with the Heat. Like he's not going to sign a contract extension this year.
So he's
He's
under
going to
contract
become a
this
free
year.
agent next year. Yeah,
He's still under contract.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think the Jimmy Butler front is kind of like a wait and see, play it out type of situation. Like he doesn't want to be a free agent this year. So I'm assuming he's going to opt in if he has a player option. And we'll go from there if he hasn't already. I forget. I seen Jimmy Butler news, but it was like days ago. So I don't know if that was him opting in or what, but I know it was a couple days ago. So I'm not kind of refreshed on that subject at the moment. But I am curious to see what happens there. But
All right. Do you guys want to know my official thoughts on the draft?
sure.
There's been 2 steals in this draft, none of which were in the top 5.
Okay.
And Earl has to do with your boy,
Who?
Ball Connect. I think he was one of the steals of this draft, genuinely. We've seen a ton of great players get literally shafted just because they're a few years older than everybody else, and I'll never understand why.
I did owe you on that. I did owe you on that. Dude is still 22, 23 years old. Like, we're talking like that's old. Like, come on now. These guys,
Yeah,
these
I
draft
agree.
an 18-year-old, hoping they're going to be as good at 22 as some of the 22-year-olds are
And
now.
one other person
Thank you.
that people are going to regret, because I told you all this last night. 2 people that everybody's going to regret: Dalton Connect and Zach Edey. Zach Edey is going to be a fucking menace in Memphis. It's going to be crazy.
He didn't fall too far though. I mean, he was top 10.
People are going to say he would have been top 5, guaranteed.
I mean,
I
think
all of those players, Stephon Castle, Rob Dillingham, they're all good. But I think Zach Edey is going to be better than them.
I mean, but fit too. Like, you take a Stephon Castle because you have a Wemby. You know what I mean? And now with Chris Paul, that makes Stephon Castle even more valuable. What happened last time Chris Paul had a young apprentice point guard, Shea? Look where Shea's at right now. Not saying it's going to be the same situation, but the way things worked out, I mean, that could potentially be named like a steal of the draft, even though it was in the top 5.
I felt like everybody knew that Shea was going to be Shea eventually. But it took a lot.
I don't know, bro.
No, dude, he was kind of mid his first year. Not like bad.
He was good, but
it took him a while.
I have to say, I think the Chris Paul, not saying, Chris Paul just gave him everything. I'm saying like the influence, like having that type of mind, like, hey, these are the type of decisions you have to make as a point guard for a team. Like, we got to think Chris Paul has always been an undersized point guard, but he's always been at his highest level. He was one of the best point guards playing, like, in his prime. So I say having that kind of basketball mind on your team as a young player, that instills something in you. And after he left, after Chris Paul moved on from that situation, Shea stock just kept going up and up and up and up until now. I mean, top 2 in MVP voting last year, went to the playoffs, bro. Led a young team, as him being the vet, as young as he is, led that team to the playoffs. Like, I don't know. I don't think I can just. I agree with Matt. I feel like he wasn't that hot. He was a great player, but I feel like Chris Paul definitely helped him grow, like, as an individual. I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, he was the 13th or 14th pick in the draft for a reason. If everyone thought he was going to be great, he would have went number 1. Instead, that was like Lonzo Ball or something, or Fultz.
So Stephon Castle,
unsigned. Someone should go sign Markelle Fultz, decent player. But that's unrelated.
Send him to the Spurs developmental program.
You mentioned the Spurs. CP3 is now on the Spurs. Any
Can we talk about that though? I like that a lot. I really do.
It's fine. It's good. He'll help Wemby for sure to give him a real point guard. It's a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
They need a point guard, even if it's just a 1-year rental.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like they're committed to him long term. He's just there, like you said, to help the Wemby growth as opposed to like helping someone in his own position. Now he's just going to help someone who's like twice his height. But
I agree. I think, like you said, having a true point guard, I hated Jeremy Sohan at point guard. Worst experiment I've ever seen. Popovich, we all know, we can all speak. Greatest basketball mind, obviously top of the tier list. But that was a crazy decision. Now you're adding a true point guard who knows when to pass the ball. He's going to get Wemby. If Wemby is slightly open, he's going to make sure Wemby has that ball. And I think that's a great move. Just building up his offensive confidence as well. Like Wemby is on point of view. Like he's going to be able to take more shots. He's not going to have to work as hard to get open. I think it's just going to be a great fit. And like Max said, it's probably just a 1-year rental, which is cool, and see how things play out. But just having him in your organization, teaching like this is a super young team, the Spurs are. Having him to kind of be that vet. We talk about veteran leadership. Well, Chris Paul is probably one of those top vets you want who can actually still kind of play, and he just has a great basketball mind. So I think it's a plus. They needed a point guard, and he can kind of teach the ropes to Stephon Castle, and Castle can be your point guard of the future. Now he has a good vet to do it. So I think Spurs made a really good, underrated move. In my opinion.
Wemby had to be a dirty player.
Wow.
Okay. I mean, yeah. I don't comment to that one.
He's one of the dirtiest players in the league. He's been that for a while, but
yeah.
He is the point guard.
Watch when everything's all said and done. I think. Okay, so first of all, I think Greg Popovich and Chris Paul are going to clash like at least once a month.
Clash?
Yeah, I think they're going to
about
clash
what?
Just about basketball stuff. Clash and have arguments at least once a month. I think that's going to happen at least once a month with Greg Popovich and Chris Paul. Because one, Chris Paul is going to feel like he's going to want to play 45 minutes a game, and then Greg Popovich is going to know that he can't do that.
I don't think Chris Paul's thinking that. He knows he's 39.
Oh, no, bro.
Golden State. He's not going there trying to be a star.
Let's make it more realistic. I think Chris Paul thinks he's going to play 30 minutes a game, but he's only realistically going to get 25 to 30. I think Greg Popovich knows this and is going to take advantage of that. I think both of those two people are going to be hard-headed as fuck. And I see it strangely working in the sense of like Chris Paul is going to respect everything that Greg Popovich throws on the table for him. Chris Paul is going to respectfully tell him to fuck off.
I mean, Chris Paul played 26 minutes per game last year. And the year before, he played 32 minutes a game.
I know. I just think Chris Paul is going to go in there with the sense of thinking that he might be starting on that San Antonio squad.
He should. Why not?
Clearly, Greg Popovich.
He's going to be
He
starting.
didn't start him all year last year, so clearly Popovich does not want Trey Jones to start, so he'll start Chris Paul. I think Chris Paul's. They're both in the twilight of their careers to the point where I don't think.
I think last year was more of just experiment. I think last year was more of a experiment for point guard Jeremy Sohan. I think that was more of the.
I'm glad that era is over. Worst basketball I've ever seen.
Too. But I think that was just an
Victor,
experiment.
I'm open, bro. Jeremy dribbles the other way. Horrible. I'm sorry. I've seen plays. I'm like, bro, just throw it up. You don't have to just throw it to the. Throw it up and go get it. Chris Paul. The reason why Chris Paul is going to start. Chris Paul is going to play 26 plus minutes per game on this team because why not? At this point, he's at the, like Max said, the twilight of his career. He gets a chance to play with a super young guy who can kind of take off any type of scoring pressure he would have ever had. Doesn't have that. All he has to do is make sure that Victor gets the ball. And obviously, we can't act like Chris Paul just can't score. I mean, he can get a bucket if he wants to. That mid-range shot, pretty much his. 3-point shot, I'm not going to say it's the most consistent nowadays, but he has that mid-range shot. He can pass, whatever. I think he'll get plenty of opportunities on this team. And like you said, Trey Jones, even when he was the 1 point guard option to have on this team, Popovich barely played him. So I don't see why Chris Paul wouldn't start now. Just saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of point guards on that squad. I feel like there's a lot. I just feel like there's a lot of players to choose from. I mean, I think last year was more.
Give us examples.
I think like Trey Jones. I think Trey Jones can run that offense, and he's shown that he can run that offense.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Isn't it Castle a point guard or a shooting guard?
Stephon Castleton, he's a point guard.
Okay, yeah. Stephon Castle as well.
He's gonna have to learn.
Point guard rotation is right now Chris Paul, Castle, and Trey Jones. And then next year Chris Paul leaves. Stephen Castle becomes the starter, and Trey Jones is your backup.
Yep,
that's your plan.
That's exactly how I see it.
Probably, yeah. That's probably how I see it.
My thought is this: they drafted Stephon Castle. Once Chris Paul became available, why wouldn't you go get a point guard? That's basically hiring a developmental team.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, it's basically hiring him a 1-year developmental program. He's gonna make sure, like, that's the type of guy. Like, I know Chris Paul is known for his plays. I do agree he has some iffy situations, but as far as like being able to like learn from like a sponge, like he has that type of mentorship. I feel like we've seen it before.
Both can be true. He's the kind of guy you love on your team, but you hate him on the other.
Exactly. I think that's the best way to put it. But yeah, I think it just makes sense. Chris Paul, if he's not starting, I doubt he's off the bench.
Who was the other guy that Spurs drafted?
Dillingham, but they traded him.
They traded him.
They traded him to Minnesota.
Yep.
Okay. Damn, they should have kept Dillingham.
Well, then they'd have truly too many guards.
I mean, they
could have
traded.
I'm not gonna lie.
But
it did kind of surprise me they did it because there was no sense of urgency in that trade. It was a 2031 pick. Like, it's not like anything you're gonna reap benefits of anytime soon. So it was a little bit weird, but
something about Rob Dillingham that we don't.
I don't think that's the case. I think they just made a decision. Maybe it's not the best decision, but Rob, I think Minnesota got a steal. That's all I can say. And a team where they definitely need to upgrade their bench production, I think it's a good developmental piece, I'll say.
Yeah. I think Chris Paul can.
Has Minnesota signed anyone this offseason? Like, they really haven't brought anyone.
I don't think they need to, bro. I think they can run it back. I think
they did lose Kyle Anderson though. So
you know who I also think is a sleeper in this draft? I think I told you guys. I don't think he's gonna be as good as the two other guys that I mentioned earlier. But I do think Terrence Shannon is gonna start not this year, obviously, give him like a year or two. But he's gonna start tearing up some people in this league.
He's gonna start tearing up.
That's the guy who went to Timberwolves?
People.
Yeah. He's probably
so these are guys.
He was that guy that caught the case, bro.
Oh yeah, you're okay. I agree. He is cold, but I have to admit, this list is very biased because these are all players that Omar drafted. Just saying. I just want to put that out there, guys.
I didn't take Dalton
Besides
Knecht.
Connect.
Zach Edey, yeah, okay. I also think Mata should have been way higher than he did. Personally, I think he should have been top
He went
3.
4. Did he not?
I should
Or 5?
I think he went.
Matas went 11, dog.
He
Yeah,
went 11?
yeah.
In the real NBA, not in our draft.
Oh, I thought he was higher than that. Oh, I didn't realize the Bulls had 11 pick.
Just gonna double check here.
No, Matas was the 11th. I know that.
Oh yeah, my fault. I thought he was higher than that.
Yeah, I felt like he could have been like a top 4, top 5.
I mean,
Yeah.
Cody Williams makes sense. Zach
A little bit.
Edey, Robert, Donovan Clingan. I think what threw people off was Ron Holland at 5.
You know, I was looking back onto it. Did you
Yeah,
guys
you
know?
guys are right.
Do you guys know that Zach Ricochet?
Mm-hmm.
He's the 4th option guy on his French squad back home, and that guy got drafted first.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just raises some questions for me.
Does it?
How tall is he? Is he a 7-footer?
He's 6'9", 6'10"
I
with
mean,
shoes.
Oh, so he's like a. I thought he was like a center.
No, he's power forward.
He got a little handle on him, Max. I'm not
He's-
gonna lie to you.
Okay. So
He's
got a
like
little-
skinny power forward.
He's a wing. He's probably like
Great
He honestly
defender.
looks
He can
like
shoot the
about-
3 at a high level.
he
He
looks
can
like
like
dunk.
a Jonathan Isaac type build, but not in terms of skills. Like honestly, Jonathan Isaac can't shoot the 3 like that.
Yeah, I would say he's a comfortable 3-point shooter. Like he can, like
So he's
you know,
a BI.
how some
He's a Brandon
bigs
Ingram.
have like a hitch and stuff like that. Like he shoots really like. Who am I thinking about with size? I mean, I don't want to say KD. Obviously, that I feel like everybody says stuff like
Ingram,
that.
just
with
say Ingram.
bigs.
Ingram's the budget.
Yeah, I'll say BI. I say BI, but a better 3-point shooter,
Okay.
base level.
I mean, that's not bad at all. If that's who they wanted to get. But
yeah. I mean, hell
I
yeah.
mean, I
but he
will
has
say, I
a
do
really
think-
nice handle for his size. I'll say.
I do think the Hawks got fleeced for DeJounte Murray. Only getting 2 firsts and Larry Nance. That's a good trade
Hey.
for the Pelicans. I feel like the Pelicans have just been flying, get it, under the radar for like a minute.
Cooking.
And I was high on them last year. To be fair, they did get destroyed in the playoffs, but Zion was out, so I plead that. They got some dogs on that team. Like getting
Yeah.
DeJounte for basically just 2 firsts and like Larry Nance, who's kind of just a throw in to make the salary work. Banger of a deal. Like
You know who I'm worried for?
And DeJounte's what?
No, continue. My fault.
Okay, I'm saying like DeJounte's still young. Like it's not like they gave up 2 first-round picks for some old dude. Like
Mhm.
DeJounte's young. He fits the timeline of that team. Like guys just in there.
Yeah, I feel like they dropped the ball a little bit on that one. Personally, I felt like they could have gotten a lot more for him if they were just patient about it.
Hawks.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't see how this really moves the needle.
I mean, needle for anything. They look like they were in a rush to trade one of them.
Which is
and-
crazy because it feels like they've been talking about trading DeJounte for a year now, and they've been patient. So it's like,
Yeah. I feel like
did they turn down a better offer earlier? Because if
it's
the case,
very, it's a very weird move from them. I gotta say, it's.
you figure if you're Atlanta, you want to bring it. Like I thought the deal was eventually going to be Brandon Ingram for DeJounte Murray. I thought that was going to be the crux of the deal. 'Cause
That
it's like,
that would have been a good deal.
bring in Brandon Ingram,
You know-
who's not the same position as Trae Young, so you could maximize Trae and get him like a forward running mate. You know, get like the best forward teammate that he's ever had. And if you're the Pelicans, bring in DeJounte so that CJ doesn't have to play point guard anymore, and you have a true point guard. Like that's a win-win for both teams.
They
But it
took
wound
a.
up being a win-win for the Pelicans and a lose-lose for the Hawks because you don't.
I'll
get
give you
anyone
perspective,
off the
though.
game right
They took a gamble that
now. Trae Young will
respectfully-
still be there when they use those picks.
No, the gamble respectfully, they're preying on our downfall, I'll say. The pick they traded for was our 25 first. So their
God.
whole gamble is, hey, we go out here, we have our worst season ever
Is it unprotected?
under this tenure. I don't know. That's a good question. I'm pretty sure it probably is if they went through all that trouble. It was a
took it.
deal we traded. It was the last asset in the AD trade. That's the last piece of the AD trade.
Really?
To the Lakers,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So they're probably praying on our downfall. Maybe they have a chance to get Cooper Flag, which I'm sorry to tell you guys, it's not happening. I'm gonna make sure if I gotta fly out there and be at every game, if I gotta suit up, I'm gonna make sure that pick is the worst pick in the draft. NBA championship status. We're gonna make sure that pick is the last pick in the first round for y'all
I
disrespecting
don't
us.
see how they couldn't have done better. But I mean, huge win for the Pels. I will say huge win
True.
for the Pels.
I mean, what we offered. I mean, I don't know. They just chose. That's all I can say. I guarantee you,
it's okay.
there was better offers, Max. I know there was better offers than that.
I believe it. I mean, DeJounte's a good
Yeah.
player. He's a borderline all-star when he's playing at his best. So
I think the Pelicans had something on him, and he had to get the trade off to clear his name. Conspiracy theory.
You're not lying. You're not lying.
But what I was gonna say is one person I'm kind of worried about, as far as like their role, is Reed Shepherd on the Rockets. I feel like the Rockets have a lot of stuff going on as far as roster construction, and for them to have the number 3 pick and choose one of the best shooting guards in this draft. I mean, he's the best shooter in this draft. I don't know where he fits on this team. Like, you have Fred VanVleet, you have Jalen Green, you have Amon. I guess you can move him to forward. I don't know what he really plays his natural position, but you have a lot of guards on this team. So how does that stunt his development? Like, I don't know. It's just that's something I've been thinking about as well. And I see the reports about them not wanting to extend Alfred Şengün or Jalen Green.
that's crazy.
Which is why I'm like, bro, what's the move? Like, it's like the Rockets. It's like when you play Monopoly and you just become too powerful. Like, you don't know what to do with all your assets, and you just start doing dumb trades. Like, oh, I'll give you immunity here, like just house rules. You can go here, blah blah. And you forget about all the immunities you give until you're not making any money because everybody is free from your properties. That's what the Rockets are doing right now. They have all these assets. They don't know what to do.
It's like the Rockets have one of every color property right now.
Exactly.
It doesn't do them any. It's like they have a lot, but it's
Exactly.
like individual pieces are greater than the sum of their whole.
Exactly. And I'm just like, bro, what's the plot? What is our goal here? You have 2 really promising, and even okay, I get it. If you don't like the Jalen Green fit, okay, whatever. But Alfred Şengün,
that's the guy that should be building.
Come
around.
on, that's the guy you should be building around. If anything, okay, let's optimize Jalen Green. Let's move. If you feel like you have a influx of guards and you don't want Alfred Şengün and Green to coexist, which they've said before, then this will be the time you trade Jalen Green while he's high and then move on to being Reed Shepherd. I mean, best shooter in the draft, shot high like 45% from 3. That might be an Omar number. I don't know. Fact check me. But he's the best shooter in this draft. If you want to give him a chance to thrive, put him in a system with Alfred Şengün running it. That's a good duo.
You pizza when you come over here.
Whoa. Hey, I didn't start the short stuff today. You did. So.
No, I didn't.
When you watch the video, if it looks like I'm short,
shut up.
Did he not say that?
Shut up.
When you watch the video back, if it looks like I'm short, I'm not really short, but I'm short because he's really tall as a person. Anyways, yeah, I feel like the Rockets.
Normal one. I'm closer to normal than he is.
I feel like the Rockets, yeah, they just have a really.
I think it's actually right in the middle. You said he's 6'2", right?
Yeah, it's like
okay, and that's 5 inches away from him. I think the average is 5'8", and that's 5 inches away from me. That's very even, actually.
It is. You know how the whole Rockets thing could have been avoided if they never signed Fred VanVleet.
Yes. Preach.
And Dylan Brooks.
Yeah, where's Dylan Brooks fit in?
Yeah, I don't know
what. Is he on their
was
G League team?
Bro, signing him to all that money is crazy. Fred VanVleet, he should have been on a championship ready team. Just put him in there, and then you just build around this young core like Alfred Şengün. It should be Alfred Şengün centerpiece. Boom. You have your guy Amon Thompson, which he's an elite level defender already. I've seen him play really great defense. He has to work on his offensive production. I agree. That will come with development. We'll see what happens. He's 18, whatever, 19, whatever, 20, whatever. I don't know what his age is. I'm just throwing out numbers. Okay. And then now you still have Jabari Smith. That's your 4. And then you just throw in Reed Shepherd there. Boom. You have a really young team, and you just work around it. Just see what happens. Let them develop naturally. And then you have all the cat room in the world without signing these overpaid contracts for what? I don't know. They're not even tradable contracts to me, in my opinion. I think they were the team that signed like Jock Landale to a whole bunch of money. Which was, hey, no offense to Jock Landale if you're watching. They
were trying to fill up cap space because they had a bunch of they have
Yeah.
a bunch of young people and a bunch of young deals, so they had to maximize and hit their minimum.
Yeah,
I
to
think
the,
that
a
was
whole
the
bunch
thing.
of
You're
untradeable
not wrong, though.
guys.
You are right
Yeah,
on that.
you're right though.
That-
It just
No.
to me, it's just like
Could've done it
why?
I mean, yeah, because now they're looking back on the Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet saying, well, now they're impossible to move because now we're going to have to acquire a whole bunch of players to recuperate these assets. It's like,
They should have just taken on a bunch of expired.
like,
You know what
yeah,
they should have done? They should have just done the OKC route and just take on a bunch of old expiring 1 or 2 year deals and along with draft picks, because that's how OKC
that's
got a
why
lot of their
Sam
picks.
Presti is better.
Is because they would get like Al Horford and a first just for the sake of taking on. They would get Chris Paul and a first to take on that salary. So it's like they should have just gone out, bought up all the old vet contracts, gained some picks, run the vets for a year or two, and then they free. But now they're stuck with these contracts.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Yeah,
I
right.
see a world, very much see a world where Phoenix and Phoenix and Houston do make a deal because they have opposite problems. They should be on the phone talking to each other every single day.
Yeah.
What's his face? I don't know who either of their GMs are, but they should have like a private. They should have a streak on Snapchat of talking to each other. Because like Phoenix does not have enough players, and Houston has way too many players. So there is definitely a world where Houston bails, where Phoenix can bail.
But you know what the problem is, Max? I think Phoenix is way too far on that apron because of Bradley Beal, and they can't take on contracts that exceed what they're putting out. So either way, they're stuck.
Maybe the Rockets will take them. They already have old guys.
No, I'm saying like they can't move them is the thing.
I gotta
like it's illegal now. Like the whole the whole tax apron CBA thing is absolutely crazy. Like I was in this space. I'm in like a lot of different like Twitter spaces or whatever. But they were basically explaining it like the different tiers, bro. It's limitations. Like once you start going past the second apron, once you get to the third apron, you're done. You're cooked. There's literally nothing you can do. Like you got to maintain what you have, and it's just minimum deals, minimum, and then there's only so many you can get. And then second aprons
contracts to run out.
Yeah, and you can't trade a contract to offload money. It has to be the same exact value. Well, actually, I think that's second tier. Third tier, I think there's really nothing you can do but minimum contract. It's crazy.
Right.
Maybe we should do that next week. We should break down the CBA.
Oh,
that'd be fun.
I could do a like really, really quick Cliff Notes version of it if you want, like right now. Sure. Really quickly. So the first apron penalties, they include being unable to acquire a player via sign and trade if they go above the first apron salary. Mm-hmm. Salaries and trades must match within 110%. A drop from 125% for teams not above the first apron, and being unable to sign a waived player from the regular of their salary was over 12.2 million mid-level exception. So that's the first apron. The second apron penalties include being unable to include cash in trades. First round picks 7 years away are untradeable. No trade exceptions can be used from the multiple player salaries. No previous trade exceptions can be used. And the final one being a team's first round pick is moved at the end of the first round if they stay in the second apron above 3 of 5 seasons.
Oh, that's a lot of good information.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I feel like that apron stuff is just, I don't know.
A good example of this is after Nick Claxton got a 4-year, $100 million contract, the Nets, before another player was added to the trade, are currently under the luxury tax but above the cap, sending them out of $155 million in salaries. That means if they continue with the non-tax playing team, physical penalties will come into play. However, they are also
penalties.
Whoa!
What are they getting?
What? Hold on.
Fiscal,
what are you reading?
FISK.
Okay, I was about to say that sounds crazy.
Fiscal penalties. However, they are also way under the first apron. So that's just like a quick
physical
notes version. Fiscal. I said fiscal.
Mm-hmm. Run it back, the replay center.
A replay center.
Yeah, basically, I'll explain this in lesser words. Too much money spent, no assets move. Bye bye, no
assets.
players.
No assets.
No luxury cap space.
No luxury cap space.
Yeah.
I just remember the picture of what Natalie sent in MBD, where it was Megamind, and on top of it was just like no asset.
This is now the third episode in a row you've referenced this, I think.
Did I really?
You
No,
referenced it
we're on the streak.
I gotta stop.
Well, guys, no
I think
choice.
now it's
Oh my
going to be a
God.
tradition.
I gotta-
Every
we gotta
episode should end off with Omar
We just
referencing
gotta
that meme.
eventually just pull up the picture so I can end the debate.
No, there's no debate. We all know what you're talking about.
No, we know.
I think that should be our tradition. That's a good Megamind face. Oh my God. I can't do like the one eyebrow thing. No assets.
Well.
No assets.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on BTB episode 43. Thank you guys for joining us. Tune with us next week. And peace.
I got infinity money.
Yeah.